conduct?
One of the tools that we use in Student First is we've developed a code of conduct, from our experiences, good and bad. And the code of conduct helps keep the students safe, helps keep our trainer safe, helps keep the school safe, and the organization that's sponsoring the trainer safe. You're going to have your own code of conduct for your own organization, but this is lessons from what we learned. So first thing, we want to recognize the safety, the well-being, and the enjoyment of participations is of greater importance than their performance. So meaning it is more important to keep everybody safe than it is to have a great class. Does that make sense? That is our utmost priority, to keep things safe. But we do give a great class too, I have to tell you. One of our rules, and we had to do this, don't show up any more than 15 minutes maximum, because we're a guest in the schools. So what happens if you go to a classroom, say third period, half hour early, and don't start till fourth period? What happens to that classroom?
They're going to get distracted.
Yeah, you disrupt the classroom. What happens if you disrupt the classroom enough times?
The kids aren't too about it.
No, the kids don't mind. Kids love the disruptions.
Teachers talk to you about it.
Yeah, the teachers get upset, and then they can actually ask you not to come again. And so you got to remember, we're guests into this program as a Student First trainer. Always wear appropriate apparel to classes, and you notice that we all have uniforms, and I know that everyone's not going to have uniforms, but so do you think you're going to wear cutoffs and tank tops and teach a class? And so you got to have, yeah, you're going to have a dress code. Treat everyone with dignity and respect. This includes the students, the teachers, and your fellow staff. Because remember, the best thing that we can teach them is by our example. And so be professional, be respectful. And do you think it's easy to be respectful all the time?
No.
It can be very challenging. Ensure everyone has an equal opportunity to take part and contribute. And one of the theories in my head is in a classroom that everybody speaks once that wants to before somebody speaks twice. And that's just kind of a rule of thumb. That way everybody gets a chance. Show consistency, high standards of professional behavior and appearance, acting as a positive role model for people first. And we've had some trouble with that, right, guys? Yep. So I can think of Mr. Larry. He's walking. I got to pick on him. So this isn't even during a class. So we're coming to class, and he's walking. He jaywalks, which is, how many people ever walked in the middle of the block? Raise your hand. Yeah, we all have done it. So, but a student saw him, and a student goes, "Well, Miss Jill, the Student First trainer walked in Mill Street. Why can't we walk in Mill Street?" Guess what? We got a lecture on. Yeah. So the teacher. So that was a good example. So from when you show up. You follow the laws, you go to the, you follow the rules, you don't see them. Crosswalking, so you got to set the example, because if you don't set the example, you're
do exactly what you do.
Right. They're going to do exactly what you do. So it's important that you have a professional presence from the moment you arrive to the moment you're out of their sight. Avoid using inappropriate language and behaviors at all time, and we're going to get more into that. And this is important. Avoid showing favoritism to any particular student. And it's hard not to, because you're going to have your students that shine, but you can't show the favoritism, because what happens if the student that shines, and everybody knows their favorite, what's going to happen to the student that maybe doesn't shine?
They're not going to like the class. They're going to want to get out of there.
Right, and what else?
They're going to feel upset.
Right, and they're not going to want to shine. They're not even going to try to shine. So you got to try to not show that. And it's hard, because
they won't pay no attention to you.
Right, because you're going to have your favorites. To keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Nobody needs to know. So avoid. Now this is something. Avoid physical contact, we probably should take the, unless it's justified. Avoid physical contact. That would be my advice. We probably should adapt that, because do you know that? Can I touch you, Mike?
Yeah.
Do you know if you go up to somebody like this, that's assault?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to avoid physical contact, because what if He went home and told his mommy on me. Your mom could call the police and say, hey, this student trainer touched my student.
Or even call the principal and tell them.
Right, right. And so who works for a school district? Anyone work for a school district here? So DDA, what if somebody said, hey, one of your trainers that you guys brought in touched one of the students? Would your heart drop to your feet? Yeah, my heart would drop. So you got to be careful. You got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, because that word touch is a big definition.
Yep. Avoid being alone with a student in any situation, because as a teaching a class, there's absolutely no reason. I mean, just the thought of an adult being alone with a student who's not the teacher, that sends red flags up anywhere. Absolutely no reason. So code of conduct. So yeah, our code of conduct's kind of long, but challenge any form of abuse, bullying, discrimination, bad language, violence, or offensive or appropriate behavior. Because how many people think students are not going to have that? Right, and so the best lesson sometimes that we can teach, and so you take those opportunities, and sometimes you go in with a particular lesson and that pops up. What a great, I mean, don't look at that as a bad thing. That's a great opportunity to teach them and educate them the appropriate way, because in life, how important is it that we're appropriate in our interactions at a job or at a residential service? So that's a great learning opportunity, you know. And so we've had one, and we actually, it's been a couple years, you'll see in our curriculum we have a bullying curriculum, because we had a classroom where we had a couple bullies. And so all of a sudden we did a bully curriculum, and the bullying stopped, because once people understood the surroundings of it, and it's not something that we do consistently, but that was necessary because students were afraid to talk because they were going to get bullied at lunchtime by the other student. And so report any concerns using the process in this policy. So once you are a volunteer and you've done a DDA background check, guess what you become?
Employee.
Anyone? So you witness abuse. What do you have to do?
You have to report it.
Yeah, you are automatically automatic reporter. If in doubt, call it up. Yeah, that's my advice. Establish with participants at the start of any session the behaviors expected. And we're going to go over that in a little later today with our ground rules, because the students need to know what to expect. Don't you agree? Yes. And so we're going to get that. They actually get to develop their own expectation. We call them ground rules. So they set up their own rules so they know what to expect. We know what to expect. And then some classrooms even have consequences. And we'll get into that. You know, nobody, you know, no black boxes or timeouts, but there's consequences for behavior sometimes in certain programs. Maintain a safe environment. Ensure all participants are adequately supervised at all times, in line with recommended supervision ratios for activity and support. And so how many, I don't know different states. In Washington, we have students that are in community protection programs in high schools. And so one-on-one, line of sight. So what about Idaho? Do you have that?
And what is it again?
In our state, it's called community protection. And they're in there for a variety of reasons, but it's just saying in order to keep that person safe and the community safe, they have a one-on-one staff. Right, and I've learned the hard way, there's a reason that one-on-one staff's there. Have access to a phone. How many people have cell phones this day and age? Right, yeah, so you have access to phone, first aid kit, our first aid trained person. If I'm in the school and somebody goes down, you know, like we had somebody with a seizure when you were there, right, Larry? Rogers, when that, and so, a pretty bad seizure. So, you know, and of course, what's everyone want to do right off the bat?
Help.
They want to look. Everyone wants to have it. So what we did is we moved all the students into another classroom, because at that particular school we have 3 classrooms that come in to one class. It was like 40, 50 students at one time. And so if you're seizure prone, man, the stimulation there, no wonder they didn't have more seizures. So we moved everyone out, got space, called, and they called the student nurse in, we took care of it. So we continued the class over there and ignored it and let that student get the care they needed and moved on with our class. Be aware of all necessary procedures, information relative to your position. So you're going to have emergency procedures, developed. If there's an emergency, what are you going to do? And most of you guys are from an organization already, right? So you're going to have your emergency policies and procedures. So you're really going to need to fine tune that, to have a few basic rules in place in case. And we've only had, in 12 years, 2 real emergencies. So, but it does happen. All right, and this is something new, and again, we've done this. We don't allow any fraternization, no dating between staff, board members, or employees of People First. This is the boring part. I swear it gets fun from here on out, but this is the important part, because once you decide to go into class, you have to go in there and have this in your head to keep yourself safe, the students safe, and your organization safe.
We're going to keep it nicely, have some laughs, have some smiles. Of course, we're still a team, and that's all that matters. Is we come and we show up and we work hard and we do our thing for the students every single week, and that's an important thing to do.
Coming up next, initial meetings of a Student First Club. If you would like more information about Student First and starting a club, contact Donna Larry at pfow@clarkston.com. EPIC is a grant of national significance. It stands for Equal Partners Interstate Congress. And if you're interested in more information about leadership and self-advocacy, contact EPIC. You can contact Noah, Noah, @arcwa.org.